Hello everybody, Dante here. I've been working on this new version of Visible Companion Affinity for at least a week now, and finally polished the mod enough so it should work on all platforms without any problems. If you're new to the mod, it's about different ways of showing you the exact affinity values of your companions. In other words, it tells you how are things between you and each one of them. For PC players, this is the fourth version of the mod, and each new release came with a brand new feature. Since this is the mod's first release on consoles, this video is about showing you all its features as well as its improvements since the first release. Version 1.0 had its core functionality of showing affinity values in the top left corner, so every time your actions affect the affinity level of your companions, the vanilla notifications of them liking, disliking, loving or hating something are extended with the current affinity rate and the amount that the affinity is reduced or increased by. However, this core feature has been changed a bit since the last version due to some technical decisions I had to make. Since the first release of the mod, I was overriding one of the vanilla game's core scripts because it's almost impossible to change the core notifications with dynamic variables in any other way. There are several reasons why I don't do this as of version 4.0. First and foremost, it's not a best practice since the core scripts can be changed by any future patches of the game, and if Bethesda decides to fix something in this particular script, then the mod would override their fixes with an older version of the same script, which may cause problems. The second and main reason is that mods are not allowed to override core scripts on consoles. Note that this is the main reason why Visible Companion Affinity didn't work on Xbox when somebody tried to steal and upload it a couple of weeks ago. So as of 4.0, the mod only uses its custom scripts, which is a very great thing in regards of compatibility. And instead of extended vanilla notifications, the affinity values come in separate messages. I have to say, first I didn't really like the idea, but the more I tested it, the more it grew on me. Especially because when your actions affect your relationship with a companion, you have at least 5 seconds to focus on the top left corner, and by the time the affinity value shows up, it's very easy and comfortable to read it.
Watching seasons change, our roads were lined with adventure, mountains in the way, couldn't keep us from the sea. Here we stand open arms, this is home where we are, ever strong in the world that we made.
Also notice how my actions on the weapons workbench affects Preston, and the mod didn't show any affinity changes for him. That is how you know he is maxed out already. Affinity values are on a scale of -1100 to 1100, and as you can see here in this version, these values are matched with percentage values scaled from -110% to 110%. Here you could see a good amount of companions reacting to my actions, first using chems, then modding weapons, and finally now you can see most of them hating me for killing an innocent provisioner. Version 2.0 introduced a new feature that gives you the ability to check the affinity level of your current follower by asking him or her about your relationship. After the dialogue, a pop-up will show up that tells you all about your current relationship. Typically, all companions begin at an affinity value of 0, which means they are neutral towards you. If the affinity value reaches 50%, they will admire the sole survivor and often reveal new dialogue. Raising their affinity to at least 100% will result in them idolizing you, at which point the sole survivor is granted their companion perk.
Nick, are things okay?
Lowering the affinity to a sufficient negative value will displease the companion, and they will issue a single warning to the sole survivor, asking them to change ways. If the affinity value drops further, they will become angry and refuse to travel with you. For most companions, new dialogue will be triggered when the affinity value reaches 25%, 50%, 75% and 100%. Version 3.0 introduced a much requested feature, the ability to check a list of affinity levels of all your companions through the Pip-Boy, and I managed to do it with an aid item called Affinity List. The Affinity List is added to your inventory automatically under the aid section as soon as you install the mod and launch the game for the first time, and it shows a list of all your relationship info with all your companions by activating it. But since the last version it changed a bit. Due to compatibility issues again, it's not a list anymore, but a menu where you can select any of your companions you've already unlocked during your playthrough. Since it works exactly like Chem or any other aid item, you can even bind it to a hotkey, and you can check the list as easy as pushing a button. Also note that since the last version, I fixed the bug that made you thirsty when using the affinity list in survival mode. Not anymore. And now in version 4.0, let me introduce you to the Affinity holotape. It's a holotape program also added automatically to your inventory under the miscellaneous section, and it lists your companions the same way as the affinity list, but comes in the form of a nice and easy to use holotape program. You can select any of the companions in the list who you already unlocked, and you can check the relationship, while the program also shows you a nice artwork of the follower and some short info about who you're dealing with. The companion artworks are used with the permission of the author, of course. You can find her Tumblr and Twitter pages linked in the description below. And one last thing about this new feature. Without giving away any spoilers about any companions, you should know that in some very rare cases, these portraits and short descriptions may or may not change through the course of your gameplay. If you already have a clue who or what am I talking about, or if you don't mind spoilers about some of the companions, you can find a work in progress video of the mod on my YouTube channel as well that shows exactly what I'm talking about. Needless to say that since version 3.0 the mod comes with a full Far Harbor DLC support, so on Bethesda.net there will be a completely standalone version of Visible Companion Affinity with Far Harbor support for both PC and Xbox One, and later this month for PS4 as well. So if you don't own Far Harbor, you can use the vanilla version of the mod. If you own Far Harbor, you should definitely download the other standalone mod with DLC support, which does not require the vanilla version. Now there are a couple more minor features I want to talk about. For example, neither the Affinity list nor the Affinity holotape lists unknown or locked companions anymore, so if there's a companion you haven't met yet, he or she won't appear on the list. So both the Affinity list and the Affinity holotape program are completely spoiler free. To demonstrate this, I use an early game save. As you can see, before unlocking Codsworth, the Affinity list says You have to develop personal connections with companions to have them on this list. And if I open the Affinity holotape and try to list companions, it says the same thing as well. After unlocking Codsworth for the first time as companion, we can check the Affinity list again, and now Codsworth will appear on the list. And it's the same deal with the holotape program as well. Another new improvement is with the way I add these two items automatically to your inventory. Some of the PC players using version 3.0 may notice that the items did not appear in their inventory if they started a new game with the mod installed. That is because the first time the mod would trigger the automatic addition of the Affinity list, they did not even have a Pip-Boy. In other words, they did not unlock their inventory yet, so they missed the item completely. Of course, on PC there's workaround with console commands, but that's an unacceptable bug for console players, especially since this mod has the best value when you start a brand new game with it. But now in the new version, thanks to an awesome solution by Registrator 2000, the items are not added to your inventory until you find your Pip-Boy while exiting Vault 111. Again, with an early save game I can demonstrate you the process. As you can see, I'm at Vault 111 and about to pick up my first Pip-Boy. As soon as it boots up, you can see both the Affinity list and the Affinity holotape items in my inventory. Another improvement is that both items dynamically track if your companions are alive or you are unfortunate enough to sadly pass away. Let me demonstrate this on poor Deacon here, because he's one of the few followers who isn't essential and can be killed by the player. As you can see, I can check his Affinity status in the holotape program. But as soon as he dies, I can check his status again, and as you can see, the program knows that tracking your relationship with him makes no longer any sense. And of course the same goes with the Affinity list as well. But if you're on PC and have some tricks up your sleeves with console commands, you'll see that his status will be updated again after magical act of the resurrect command. Now, if you're new to the mod, you are probably wondering why it shows Affinity values instead of percentage values for Deacon. That is because since 1.0 there were 3 display options to choose from within the PC Nexus version's FOMOD installer, with the percentage with decimal values being default, percentage without decimals being option number 1, and displaying the exact Affinity points being option number 2. Now, since I no longer override vanilla notifications, version 4.0 will include these optional features in the game using the holotape to configure your display settings. These settings no longer require separate plugins, so they are available for console players as well. Also, there's a new default display option I prefer that includes 2 decimal places with the percentage values. Checking the Affinity stats through the Companion relationship dialog was also an optional feature within the installer in older versions. It's checked in by default, but you could choose not to install it mainly because it did not fully support non-English versions of the game. Which meant that all texts were translated to different languages, but since I had to add the script to the relationship dialogue, I had no choice but overriding the last vanilla dialogue record, where the message box shows up, and with that being replaced with my English version of the dialogue record, the subtitle of those relationship dialogue lines had also been replaced in non-English versions of the game with English text. No big deal, but I see that it can be annoying. In version 4.0, with the help of Fallout 4 Translator and the original vanilla non-English skill strings of the game, I managed to translate those lines back for non-English versions, or at least for those languages that vanilla Fallout 4 is translated to by Bethesda in the first place. Speaking of different language versions, the full FAMOD installer version of the mod on the Nexus for PC players will be available in 10 different languages: English, German, Italian, Norwegian, Russian, Spanish, French, Hungarian, Slovak, and in version 4.0 I introduced the Polish translation as well. The new version will now support sorting mods as well, like Valdosyl's Def UI and item sorting, which you can configure with the holotape program. If you turn item sorting on, it adds a settings prefix in brackets to the name of the Affinity list and Affinity holotape items, renaming them as Settings Visible Companion Affinity list and Settings Visible Companion Affinity holotape, so they both should be sorted in the miscellaneous section of your inventory under Settings holotapes. You can rename them back anytime by turning item sorting off, so the Affinity list goes back under the Aid section and the holotape under the miscellaneous section of your inventory. Another optional feature for the PC version within the holotape settings is the support for multicolored Pip-Boy, or rather support for mods that require you to set Pip-Boy disable FX to 1 in your Fallout 4 custom.ini because they rely on a colored Pip-Boy screen. In this case, the color of the companion portraits in your Affinity holotape program won't be automatically matched the color of your Pip-Boy screen, and this is when the display color configurator in your holotape comes handy. Using this feature, you'll be able to use a color picker within the holotape program that allows you to choose from 8 color presets: the primary colors of monochrome red, blue, and yellow, the secondary colors of monochrome green, orange, and violet, as well as a monochrome grayscale and the full color version of the portraits as well. And that's it for now. Hope this version satisfies most of you. Thanks for watching this video, and especially thank you for all the positive feedbacks and support I get from most of you. If you like what I do and interested in mod videos or work in progress demos, it's much appreciated if you hit that subscribe button. And please feel free to contact me if you have any problems using the mod. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the new version, and remember guys, don't steal mods, and especially don't support and praise those who do. All mod authors I know are working their ass off to publish proper versions for all platforms. It just takes a lot of time to make a polished, properly working port from PC to consoles, as you could see detailed in this video. Even with this interface mod, it took me more than a week to make a proper version that is now compatible with all 3 platforms. So please be patient. And thanks again for watching. Dante out.